It was a rubbish question. I just sort of said, oh, why is it so important for you to come here? Big journalism here. And he looked at me and said, oh, well, just go and ask those people over there. And I probably inside thought, hang on a minute, leave this one. And I said, well, is that why it's so important for you to come here? And then he turned around and just said, Rhiannon, don't behave like that.
And I don't know where it all stops, all this. Where does it end? We've got the book, and then we've got the interview circuit, and so it goes on. It's all apparently a dark plot by Britain and the royals to smear the poor, defenceless, vulnerable Sussexes.
Prince Harry really thought everyone in the room would be super impressed just because of who he was. He walked in thinking people would act like he was a big deal, but Hollywood didn't play along. Instead, it gave him a big wake-up call. There was no one from Human Resources waiting to make things easier for him. No red carpet rolled out just for being royal. No one cared about his fancy title. What they did notice, though, was how he acted when things didn't go his way. In this place, being a prince doesn't earn you any extra points. But throwing a fit, that's what people remember.
Surely, there's now a traitor to the country that he once served.
William and I both saw what happened in our dad's office.
Prince Harry didn't just show up at the Dorian TV Awards thinking it was any regular night. He expected a big moment, like one of those slow-motion movie scenes where the red carpet lights up, everyone goes quiet, cameras start flashing like crazy, and people whisper, "His Royal Highness is here." But what really happened was totally different. Instead of all that royal excitement, the crowd gave him a very chill welcome. It felt more like, oh hey, you're just another person on the guest list. No fancy music, no one bowing, just the usual Hollywood buzz. People chatting about deals and shows, barely even noticing he'd walked in.
How much damage do they want to cause? They can't be allowed back to any royal events because they'll probably be wired up and taped for the next series of their...
Way before Prince Harry showed up and had that awkward moment at the Dorian TV Awards, his team had already caused a bit of a stir. It all started with an email that people now can't stop talking about. The email showed up in the inbox of the award show organizers. And let's just say it didn't exactly come in quietly. It kind of felt like a royal command. But no, it wasn't about where Harry should sit, what he wanted to eat, or how he should walk the red carpet. This message was only focused on one thing, making sure everyone used his royal title.
Back to any royal events because they'll probably be wired up and taped for the next series of their thrilling life story. So what do? What does King Charles do about his own son? Does he cut him off? Does he strip him of his titles? This is his son.
People who saw the email said the way it was written felt pretty strong, maybe even a little pushy. Through his PR team, Harry made it super clear that he wanted to be called His Royal Highness Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, when he was brought on stage. The thing is, that's the same title he gave up back in 2020 when the whole Megxit drama happened. It was a big deal back then, and after that, the title wasn't really his anymore. Not by law, and not in the public's eyes either.
The Shakespearean tragedy unfurling. And I'm afraid when it comes to health, I think Prince Harry might be beyond it.
Harry still acted like he deserved to use the title. One staff member who saw the email even called it delusional, saying it sounded more like something sent from Buckingham Palace than a normal note to a Hollywood award show. It just didn't fit the vibe. People around the event couldn't help but feel like he was being led in the wrong direction, like someone was pulling the strings behind the scenes and pushing him to act this way.
Related, and I think partly it's down to him as well, into believing they're genuine freedom fighters.
The Dorian Committee was surprised by the email, but they didn't back down. They stayed calm and polite, but they were firm about their decision. The most they were willing to call him was Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex. And honestly, even that felt like a big reach to them. In the world of showbiz, anything connected to royalty can get tricky really fast. and they didn't want to stir up any drama by going too far with royal titles.
Institutional gaslighting that happens is extraordinary. And that's why
What should have been an easy and quick formality suddenly turned into a stressful back and forth. It wasn't just a simple thing anymore. At one point, people say a second message came from Harry's team, and it kind of hinted that if they didn't use the title he wanted, it would be taken as an insult. That's when the folks at the Dorian Awards realized this wasn't just about having a celebrity in the room. They were dealing with a royal-sized ego.
it's extraordinary. And that's why everything that's happened to us was always going to happen to us. Because if you speak truth to power, that's how they respond.
He showed up by himself, no Meghan by his side, no group of assistants or handlers, just Prince Harry in a tuxedo, walking in alone, trying to fit into a crowd that didn't really chase his kind of fame anymore. People did look at him, but not because they were impressed. It was more like they were curious. Soft whispers started spreading through the room. Where's Meghan? Did he really ask them to call him His Royal Highness? People weren't looking at Harry with awe. They were just guessing, wondering, gossiping. It wasn't respect he was getting. It was questions.
Truth to power? What are you talking about? You're Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, once third in line to the throne. It doesn't get a lot more powerful than you.
People watching him noticed right away he stood up straight, almost stiff. His smile was there, but it looked forced, like it was just for show. That bold, confident shine he used to have in his eyes was gone. Now he looked more careful, like he was holding something back. He didn't walk in like someone who felt comfortable. Instead, he kept looking around the room, checking how people looked at him, almost like he was hoping someone would treat him with the royal respect he thought he deserved. But that moment never happened.
Decamped for your freedom before you gave up any royal duty, but wanted to have your royal cake and eat it by keeping your title so you could exploit them.
This wasn't some fancy royal visit or a big palace event. This was West Hollywood, a place where you have to work to be famous, where no one gets special treatment just because of their last name, and where everyone's chasing the next hot story. And tonight, Harry wasn't the main attraction. He wasn't the big headline. He was just a slightly awkward guest in a room full of people who weren't impressed by royal titles. They only cared about content, buzz, and what was trending next.
Make gazillions of dollars in America to the highest bidder. And what do you do for that money? You trash your family endlessly. And you're going to keep doing it, as does your wife, who trashes her own family.
The ballroom was full of noise and energy. Glasses clinked, people laughed, and the host stepped on stage with that kind of smooth, easy charm that made everyone feel excited. But what came next? It hit hard, way harder than anyone expected. It was finally time to announce Prince Harry's appearance, and you could tell he thought this was his big moment. He straightened up in his seat, clearly waiting for something grand and royal, but instead of fancy introductions or the special title he asked for, the host just said it in a normal, plain way. Please welcome Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex. Then came the twist. The host added, hating your entire family, your wife hating all hers, apart from her mother. Like many of the claims in the series, none of this stacks up, does it? That was it. No His Royal Highness, no extra sparkle or royal flair, just the name he was legally allowed to use. Short, direct, flat. People clapped, but it was soft and not very excited. And Harry? He froze. His polite smile flickered, then disappeared like someone had turned it off. None of this stacks up, does it? The host's line echoed in the room. There were all those claims about racism in the palace, but still no proof, no names, nothing clear about what really happened. For 5 full seconds, Harry didn't move at all. He didn't blink. He just sat there, his jaw tight, like he was trying to figure out what had just gone wrong. Around him, the crowd went quiet. Some guests gave each other side glances.
A few whispered, "Wait, is he not getting up?" And then phones started coming out quietly, trying to catch what had just become the most uncomfortable moment of the whole night. Suddenly, Harry stood up, not to walk on stage, not to wave, not to say thanks. He stood up to leave. It was cold. He didn't smile, didn't wave, didn't even look at the host or anyone in the room, just turned and walked out with his back stiff, his shoulders tight, and his eyes locked straight ahead. He never looked back. And that part about Meghan, she's now saying again that someone at the palace stopped her from getting help when she was feeling suicidal. Just stop and think about that. Who told her that? Is that person still working at the palace? Does that person even exist? Did someone really say to her, you might feel like you want to end your life, but it's bad for the royal image? You can't get help? And if Meghan was really told that, where was Harry in all of this? Where was Mr. Mental Health? The second Harry stepped out of the Dorian Awards, the internet exploded. Videos of his cold, awkward exit popped up everywhere. TikTok, X, you name it.
The memes came even faster than the camera flashes that caught him leaving. And honestly, no one goes harder than social media when someone from the royal family trips up. He always talks about mental health and the importance of speaking up. And yet, when his own wife said she was having suicidal thoughts, people are asking, why didn't he get her help? But the post that really hit a nerve, the one that made headlines, was a simple tweet. Hollywood doesn't do crowns, it does credits. It blew up fast. Thousands of retweets, tens of thousands of likes. Just like that, Harry wasn't the people's prince anymore. He was becoming a royal joke. Does that sound right to you? Does it even make sense? Because it's hard to believe. In showbiz, how people see you matters more than almost anything. And right now, the way people saw Harry was not good. A grown man walking out of an award show because he didn't get called by a title he gave up years ago, that's what people saw. And the internet? It never forgets. As Prince Harry vanished through those ballroom doors, the room didn't gasp. It just went quiet. The energy dropped hard. One minute, everyone was laughing, sipping drinks, and chatting about upcoming projects. The next, they were all leaning in and whispering like wildfire. Some were in total shock. Others tried to keep it casual, acting like they hadn't just seen a royal walkout. But let's be real. Everyone saw it. Eyes darted around, people sat up straighter, and suddenly nobody cared about the awards anymore. They cared about him. People started saying it felt just like the Oprah interview all over again, a pile of wild claims without much to back them up. One minute the couple was adored, the next it was like the whole country had turned. Then one A-list actor, a little buzzed and clearly entertained, raised their glass and said, "Looks like the Dorian did what Buckingham couldn't." They told him no. The whole table laughed loud and hard. But not everyone found it funny. Some producers looked straight up uncomfortable. For them, this wasn't tea. It was a full-on PR disaster happening live. The whole thing, Meghan's claims, the press, the fear, the drama, it all felt like a storm that had been building for years. Behind the scenes, the people running the show scrambled to get things back on track. The host, cool as ever, kept going like nothing had happened. But the weird feeling hung in the air like leftover perfume. You couldn't ignore it. Staff rushed behind the scenes trying to stop any leaks, but they were already too late. By the time the night ended, guests had sent messages to their agents, stylists, and media contacts. And yet somehow, the whole story was being spun like this was a huge plot against Harry and Meghan simply because they were too popular, that they were hated and envied because they were too adored. And apparently, this was all part of their brave fight for privacy. But in Hollywood, secrets don't stay secret for long. While Harry's seat sat empty, he was still very much present. Not in a good way, though. Not as a respected royal, but as a reminder of what happens when someone full of entitlement steps into a room full of powerful people who don't care for royal drama. The kind of couple who shows off their kids while also running loud social justice campaigns. The kind who talk like their audience won't question anything. Harry and Meghan treat people like they'll just believe whatever they say.
They throw around bold, shocking claims, but give no proof. And as the night unraveled and his walkout became the biggest story, one question started popping up everywhere. Where was Meghan? Her missing from the event wasn't just obvious, it was loud. While Harry stood there sulking under those hot lights, Meghan was nowhere to be seen. No makeup team, no sudden photo op, no surprise appearance to help clean up the mess. And in Hollywood, silence like that, it says a lot. They keep making dramatic claims with nothing to back them up, and the damage is real. The royal family's image is taking hits. The monarchy's reputation is cracking, and people are starting to believe what's being said, even big names like Beyoncé. Her team later said she had something else scheduled and couldn't attend, but come on, this wasn't a low-key event. It was the Dorian TV Awards. This was about being seen, networking, staying relevant. And Meghan, the woman who once made a royal wedding a worldwide fashion moment, skipping out on this kind of event? That meant something. Almost instantly, whispers filled the room. Was she trying to separate herself from the backlash she knew was coming? Did something go wrong behind the scenes? People are believing the royal family is made up of cold-hearted racists, but those who know them, really know them, say that's just not true. And as the gossip spread, producers, showrunners, and studio heads started stepping back. One major streaming service that was quietly planning a Sussex-focused docuseries hit pause with no date to restart. One agent said it clearly, "You can work with divas or with dukes, but not both in one body." Then Harry got in his car and drove away. People said he looked embarrassed, and honestly, he came off kind of arrogant. In a town that runs on carefully crafted chaos, Harry's big exit didn't feel smart or bold. It felt unstable. And in an industry that bets billions on image, that's a huge red flag. Executives started asking real questions. Is Harry marketable or just unpredictable? Is he here to share real stories or just repeat the same palace drama over and over? Anyway, after all this, his team lost it. They were furious. Then there was Johannesburg, that night when the infamous letter dropped. 10 long paragraphs, and it hit hard. As for Meghan, insiders say her team is working overtime in damage control. They're meeting with stylists, brand experts, and media strategists to quietly shift the attention back to her own projects. Because if Harry doesn't change direction fast, Hollywood won't just close the door on him. It'll act like he was never even there. He later said he hadn't realized he poked the bear, but looking back, it was a mistake. It made everything feel worse, especially since people used to admire him. He had good chemistry with others. That walkout, all over not being called His Royal Highness, it didn't come across strong. It came across small. The media, who once supported him, turned up the heat. Page 6 called it a royal embarrassment. The Guardian wondered if Harry was hooked on the very system he said he hated. And social media? It was ruthless. One person wrote, "Imagine leaving the monarchy just to beg for a title in Hollywood. Clown behavior." And still, there are those who hope we'll see the better side of him again. The one who's great with kids, who connects with people. But that version feels like a memory now. The present? It's messy.
The numbers don't lie. The shine is fading. Yeah, I remember during that trip, we were flying in and I had just reported the news that Harry was quitting the army. Honestly, maybe he never should have left. Even some of his longtime fans began pulling away after that. And after the whole Dorian Awards mess, it only got worse. Polls taken just a few days later showed his popularity dropping. The main feeling people shared? Disappointment. Folks had hoped he was moving forward, growing up, starting something new. But instead, it felt like he was dragging everyone through the same royal drama all over again. Now, there's one big question everyone keeps asking. What's next for Prince Harry? After cutting ties with the royal family and now messing up his chances in Hollywood, he's at a really tough spot. He can either totally reinvent himself or watch it all fall apart.